Okay, so hello. I don't know what time you'll be watching this video, but this is just a demonstration of the application or homework assignment 4 that I'm doing. So I decided to go for chat rooms, and what it basically tries to, should I say, help achieve is one of the goals of the UN for quality education. So what I've decided to build was a chat room where students and teachers can interact with each other online and send messages. So if someone needs help, they can talk to his teacher online and they can receive help, which is pushes towards the goal of the UN of quality education. So that's the sort of motivation behind the application. This is the index page, so it tells you everything about the organization. It's meant for St. Mary's DSG Outreach, the non-profit organization. So over here it shows you the class structure. You can see this later when you're looking at it. And then at the bottom we have the use cases over here. So you can see here, you have this use case here, use case here, use case here, use case here. And then, so how it works is you enter, select your name, what type. So let's say I'm a student, so I'm going to go in as a student. I'm a male. This will come, you'll see why I had to choose that in a second. And then over here you can write your profile description. So let me say I am awesome. And I sign in, and when you sign in, just give it a second to load. It shows here my name over here, and over here I can chat. Hello. I can add the chat here, but as you can see I'm blocked. So what you can do is a teacher can come in. So let's say Johnny, who's a teacher, female. I am a maths teacher. So she can sign in, Johnny, and as you can see, it's a female. Oh, Johnny is not a female name, but you get what I mean. So you can see over here it updates that Johnny's in the chat, and she can also chat and say hello, Mzamo. And when you send it, it will update on this side. But as you see, Mzamo, which is the person on this side, is blocked. So what you can do is the teacher has rights to go ahead and unblock Mzamo. So you can press here, unblock Mzamo. And then what that does is that on Mzamo's side, when he refreshes the page, he can now type. So now Mzamo can type because you unblocked him. And if you're a student and you try to go to block, well, it shouldn't work, but I have an exception for that. But yeah, it shouldn't work. But when you're a student, you shouldn't be able to go to chat. So that's the functionality of the website. You can say no, you can type. That's the basic gist of everything that's going on. And so let me show you the source code of everything. So we can start in the index view. So head over here to the index view. This just shows everything, not too much. You have a simple JavaScript. So every time you want to press on the image and you want to enlarge the class structure, that's what we'll do with this jQuery statement. So that's the index. Then we have the login. We have a bootstrap. We use bootstrap templates over here, and so retrieves the data from the various forms, or should I say inputs, that you took over here. So we'll send over here. It's a post method. What it will do is retrieve this one and it'll run this function. So we'll get all of the values that you inputted, and then if you selected students, so for member type, if you selected students, then it will create an object for the students, set the data types to the properties over here, and I should probably show you the classes, right? But let me just finish this one over here. And then it goes to, if this repository contains a new student, then it will just return the view of the objects in the students. I did this because I didn't want to duplicate students over here. So if there's a student already in the repository, it just sends it to the chat view, to the chat function over here. And if there isn't, then it's obviously going to add it to the repository. Same goes for the teacher over here. And if somehow something happens, it goes and it shows this exception. And then obviously you have the HTTP GET for the chats. Retrieve this user over here. So teacher will retrieve that over here and I'll send it to the view. Let me just show you my model so you know what I'm talking about. So over here we have our our user. This is the base class. I know we were supposed to make it abstract, but kind of complicated to make it abstract with the functionality of how I'm going to implement everything. So I don't know, I'm probably going to move these marks over there, but didn't make it abstract. So this is the user. The students over here inherits from the user, as well as this one here. That's the inheritance. And I can create a constructor over here where it pushes the base method. So what I can do is I'll update it just now when I'm finished. So how's the difference? Inheritance over here. So these are the subtypes, student and teacher are the subtypes, and obviously users the supertype. Over here, the temporary, this is just used to temporarily store a user. And over here, the list repository, this is just sample data. You can ignore this. It's just a repository to store the list of students. So now that you know what's going on in the class, I'm still going to update the class for the constructor. It doesn't really matter because without the constructor, I have to do everything dynamically like this, which I'm sort of fine with. But yeah, obviously if there was a constructor for user, then I could so every time it creates objects, we'll do this. So I could have passed the parameters through here. I'll still decide if I can. I mean, I don't think it will make that much of a difference, but yeah, it's fine. So that is that. So now we can show you the chat view. If I go to the chat view over here, so we're using the models over here. So how this all works, I made use of sockets. So you probably know something called signal R, so I brought it in. It's like a socket thing. So so it just allows me to send and receive from the server and the client instantaneously. So it helps with updating things dynamically. So if two people are on the server at the same time, then the messages will update in real time. So this over here, brought it in. One of the Mega packages runs this function. Every time you go to the chat view and you want to send or run this function, we'll bring in the names, the messages, the types, description of each person who is on the chat view, and we'll perform this. I'll show you just now what I mean by all of this. And then the startup over here, I got this all from Microsoft's website. So they just saw me to bring in the connection from the hub over here. And then over here we have chats over here. We have the chat section, so I use a couple of bootstraps over here. I'll show you the responsiveness just now. So you have the inbox side, the user. For each user in the repository or updates. So you know in the beginning when I showed you all the users that are currently in the session on the left hand side, and then the right hand side has the chat. So this is what happens over here. It gets all the users from the repository and loads them onto the left hand side. And then it's just calling usernames via the function. Not the function, through the model that you passed. Remember, we passed a student. We passed a user. So let me just go back. Remember, we passed a user to the view. This user is what you're using over here. And then we have this hidden data over here. I'm going to show you the functionality of this. So we brought in the scripts got this from Microsoft. They said I can import these, just copy and paste these scripts. Every time the page, so every time you update or you unblock, user you want to refresh so it can update, and this is the jQuery for the refresh button. So just reloads the page and brings in the new data. And then you have here, obviously create, this is the connection for the hub for signal R, and then performing that function that I was talking about over here. So if it's a teacher, we'll go in and fall into this sort of if statement. Then if the teacher is female, we'll load the female image, so this female image, and if it's not a female, then we'll load the male image. Same goes for students. Okay, no, students I didn't have a picture for it because I didn't feel like it was necessary. So for students, if the student is false over here, so if the status of the student, meaning if it's blocked, if the student is not blocked, then you will perform this jQuery sort of statement. Then if it's blocked, then it will show the alert that you are blocked and you can't type your message in. So that's it, and obviously it focuses the message so you can input it. And then this is the connection, sort of, what would you say, the click. So over here, when you're making this is what you're starting the connection, and then you're sending all of these values over here that I'm talking about here are then passed to this over here. And obviously these values, we got them from this input over here. I wanted to just say add model over here, but for some reason didn't want to work, so I just put everything in a hidden input and just put it here. That's not the best way to do it, but it's fine. And then over here, this is just an option, so HTML encode just hide everything. So instead of showing it, you can just use the encode over here. And then that's that. And then we have the styling over here. We have different styling for container, image. This is just to make everything it's very difficult when it comes to styling and spacing and padding, so I just use this of which these are the different classes that it refers to, that like each div can refer to for each specific div. So something like input, not input group, but message history, you want specific, you want the padding to be in a certain way. So you would go here. I made different style for it down here, somewhere here, somewhere here. I can't find it right now, but yeah. So that's the styling for chat. And for chats, as block. So block over here every time you press a button. So if you want to block something, someone from the view. Let me just head over to the thing. So it takes you to the block screen and it passes this name, which will be used in the control over here. So bring in the name, we'll clear out any temporary data, we'll add the temporary data. So for the user who is using, so the session, we'll add the name over here just to store it, so that when we go back to the chat view, it loads the person who was actually using this. So if I'm Zamo and I'm going to block someone, it will bring my name in here, it will save it, will put it into the temporary, so that when I load back to the chat view, it knows which object to receive. And over here I gets the list, pushes it to the repository, it finds it via the repository, the type. So over here, like whatever type you think, and if it's a student, then you can't enter, but if it's not a student, then you will turn the students list that you specified over here. And then that's for the blog. If you want to go to the blog screen over here, it goes to the models. It has different models over here, and this is just send over here. So these are the parameters that is going to pass to the specific action results. And obviously, if it's true, it will show this unblock. If it's not true, like I'm talking about the status of the student, then it will load this option, which is what you press to go to the controller and find them over here. Perform these functions. Sorry, this video is taking so long, but perform these various functions. So bring in the value that you specified from the block view over here. So whichever value you passed, it will specify, we'll pass it through here, we'll find it in the repository, and whatever student value, we'll pass it through. So bring in the name, create a student, and it finds that student in the repository and then passes it through here. And then that's, wait, did I explain? I already explained that before. Sorry, but yeah, it brings in the students over here, creates a new student if a student is blocked. If it's blocked, and then we'll update this over here. So it's basically setting the new status. So blocked, you're changing it, and then you just want to remove the old one and update it with the new one. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, and update with the new one. And then over here, remember when I said that you're storing the data in the temporary, so that when you're going back to the chat view, will retrieve the right person who was going to block the other students. So that's what it's doing right now. It's receiving whatever name that you stored in the temporary, finding the user, and pushing the user to the chat view, because the chat view is actually expecting a user input over here. So that's what I did over there. And then for the get unblock, it's very similar. So you have the block and unblock. It's literally the same steps over here, exactly the same steps. And yeah, that's my application. Let me just show you one more time, just to show you the bootstrap functionality of it, just so you can see that the responsiveness of everything. So sorry, it's saving calls. So localhost loading, and so enter the chat room. Maybe Johnny. I know this is not a teacher, it's a male this time. I am awesome. We sign in as Johnny. Now it shows I'm awesome and that you're a male over here. This is just temporary, like over here, this is just sample data. So you can see that it's responsive like this. So do that, it's responsive. If I go to the blog, it's responsive like this, made use of bootstrap. And obviously, okay, broke over there. But obviously that you saw the custom font that I used over there, so I actually went to the bootstrap over here, went to the internet, and I found this custom bootstrap theme of the internet, and I just pasted it inside here. I did the same for over here. I just got it from the internet and I pasted it here. I think I'm talking about the right one. Maybe it's one of these files. Yeah, I replaced these two files. So that's what I did for my project. Sorry for the long video, and yeah, that's if I missed anything, sorry, but yeah, that's how everything works. Thank you for your time.